but for sure he should.
At Dubai Autodrome, this is of course a UAE double header, because next weekend, if you're in the region, if you want to come and see these cars up close but aren't here in Dubai just yet, but you will be next week, might want to stick around next weekend, because up the road about an hour from the Dubai Autodrome, and that's where the next rounds will happen. So here's the grid then for the second race of the weekend here at Dubai. Janis Stiak, championship leader, race one winner yesterday, and pole sister once more for the fifth time in 6 races. Starts alongside Saud. His best qualifying effort of the season from the front row for Saudi racing. The two Brits, James Wallace and Angus Whiteside, who was second and third yesterday, start for third and fourth. Put James Wallace, the Porsche Junior GB, and the personal Huber competition car in fourth on the grid. Alec Mardy makes it 2 Saudi cars in the top 5. Caleb Sumich starting 6th, the young Australian on the third row of the grid. Soren Spreng, who won the Pro-Am class yesterday, starts 7th. He can get another lightning start to get up and make a couple of places. And last night, Matt Masters winner Banksy starts alongside him on the 4th row. Row 5, a personal best this season for Krista Andera for on Huber competition. The Swedes starting alongside the rapid young Bulgarian lady Alexandra Vateva, who were looking to get a good result from 10th after she was held up in qualifying on her fast lap. She wants to try and move forward from the base of the top 10. Outside it, Peter Brecker, 11th fastest for GT Sports Technology, the Czech driver, alongside the incoming Masters points leader to the weekend, Mike Mim, also from Bulgaria. And at the back of the field is the Kyrgyzstan driver, Stanislav Minsky, in the second of the Team GP Elite machines. And the fact that we have teams like GP Elite, Proton Huber competition, GT Sports Technology, some top teams that compete around the world, not just in the Super Cup, but in the regional and national championships. That just shows the credibility of this championship, which is one of 12 national and regional official Porsche Carrera Cup championships. If you look down the entire spectrum, it's not just Middle East. You can find all sorts across just about the entire spectrum of the globe. That's not just in Middle East, but also in Asia, Australia, Benelux, Brazil, France, Germany, Great Britain, Italy, Japan, Scandinavia, and North America. It really does span almost the length and breadth of the entire globe, Porsche Carrera Cup. And these cars are all identical wherever you go. They are, of course, 500 brake horsepower, rear-engined, rear-wheel drive, all Michelin Pilot Sport slickshod cars, paddle shift gearboxes, 6-speed sequential, dog boxes. They are absolutely fantastic machines, and they look, sound, and race the part wherever they go. They are pure, thoroughbred racing machines that require a perfect mix, as Martin Haven said in Bahrain, of aggression and finesse. You need to really push these cars as much as possible, but be smooth whilst you do it. So the temperatures are a little bit higher than they were last night. Of course, we're racing in daytime conditions rather than under the cover of darkness under the lights. The weather at the moment so far, 23 degrees, around about 24 kilometres an hour, winds, 40% humidity, as the Porsche Cayman safety car decides to wait at the end of the pit lane and be in position and ready to go. So in a few moments' time, they will get the signal to close doors. Engines will begin to fire. And in a moment's time, Dubai Autodrome once again will reverberate to the sound of flat 6 Porsche racing engines. Stiak, championship leader coming into the weekend. Race one winner yesterday. He so far has 4 wins from the first 5 races and a second place. And came into the weekend with a lead of some 24 points prior to this weekend from James Wallace. Angus White. So if you want live timing and results, you can go to getraceresults.com at the bottom of the screen and follow along. You'll also have timing on the top left of the screen once racing gets underway. Engines firing on the grid then as we get set for race 2 of the weekend at Dubai Autodrome. Once this race is complete, we'll hit the halfway point in the season for Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East. It's been quite the journey so far, from Bahrain to Qatar and now to the Dubai Autodrome. We still have Yas Marina, a return leg to Bahrain, and the finale in Jeddah to go. The cars set off on their formation lap, and they will weave from side to side to generate heat and pressure into the tyres. They'll also generate as much heat and pressure into the brakes to get them nice and warm in the optimal temperatures and ready for the start, which is going to be oh so crucial. You cannot make practice starts when you get round to the grid, so all the work to get these cars on the optimal range has to be done on this one single formation lap. So Dubai Autodrome, a massive, magnificent facility. Essentially, it was the genesis of racing within the Middle East. A fantastic facility that you can see the skyline continuing to be built around it, even some 20 years later when it was first put together. And Dubai Autodrome has done a fantastic job, completed back in 2004, and of course running on the full Grand Prix layout, 3.349 miles, 5.39 kilometres. Lap record around here set by Teo Overhouse in qualifying a 159.8. You can just about go sub 2 minutes around this circuit. And Jan Stiak nearly did that in qualifying yesterday. He did a 2 minutes .3 that put him about half a second off the lap record, which is pretty impressive by Porsche Carrera Cup standards. He really is a young star, Jan Stiak, 17 years old. Was the youngest driver in the championship at 16 last year. Finished just outside the top 10 in Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland standings, but got his first win and became the youngest ever Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland winner at Sachsenring. Also picked up in his one cameo appearance in Carrera Cup Italy, a victory at Imola, and was a solid contender last year, but had to come second best to his teammate Teo Overhouse. But now picking up where Teo left off, he certainly is one to be formidable. Now the 2 Brits on the second row of the grid, particularly watch for James Wallace. He is quite a demon starter. He managed to get a good drive off the line in last night's race from the front row of the grid. Did pull level with Yana and did get his nose in front and led the opening few corners before Yana managed to force a mistake and muscle his way back through. And from there, it was good night, Irene, I'm gone. And as much as James pushed, as much as he dared, he couldn't quite get close enough. I'll be intrigued to see how Angus Whiteside gets on in the black and purple. Last year's Porsche Carrera Cup GB Pro-Am champion. First time racing on the continent. All his racing has been done back in the UK. And a big question mark also that we'll be interested to try and answer is what will the 2 Saudi cars do, in particular Saud Al Saud from the front row of the grid, and could he, on the same side that Wallace was on the front row of the grid last night, could he get a better start than Jan Stiak? Or has Jan begun to work on that overnight to figure out exactly what he needs to do to minimise the wheel spin? The cars make their way around the 16-turn, 17-turn Grand Prix circuit. Now make their way onto the final few positions on the grid. So, pole position for Janusz Stiak on the front in red and yellow. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, Soud. They were magic last night. Now let's see how they do in the daylight. Race number 2 of the weekend for Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East 2025. Green flag at the back of the circuit. 5 red lights. 6,500 horsepower of Porsche Flat 6 racing engine ready to rumble here in Dubai. 5 red lights. And we're racing in Dubai once more again. It's a better start for the front row from Soud. Janusz Stiak's been beaten almost again. Another great start from James Wallace as they charge down towards turn 1. Wallace already level with Soud as they make their way down towards T1. On the outside in the background, Alexander Vateva goes 3 wide with Banksy and Krista Andgera going down the outside. But James Wallace goes past Soud has the inside for turn 2 and runs wide. He goes over the runoff area. He'll have to give the place back because he's passed him off the road, so that move won't stick. But through the first few corners they go. Wallace leads, but he's going to have to give that place back, I'm sure. Meanwhile, in the background, Solomon Spring and Caleb Sumich are going side by side. A lock up for Soud. He goes deep into turn 7. Way too deep. Comes back on the road in front of his teammate. Now, Stiak does get through, but Wallace is now on the outside for turn 9. It's a bank left-hander. You carry all the momentum through onto turn 10. Now, is there a chance here that Wallace can get the toe down the back straight? He's in position. And now as they head towards turn 10 on the back straight for the first time. James Wallace in the toe towards the hairpin. It's the big stop here from 250 kilometres an hour all the way down the brakes. And Stiak goes defensive. He's not comfortable on the racing line as here comes James Wallace down the outside into turn 10. Looks for the undercut, but Stiak parks it on the apex. Forster wants to go the other side. Nothing doing yet. You can see in the mid-pack there, Alexander Vateva getting stuck in with Banksy. That's to make up a couple of places. Now, up towards the hairpin at the right-hander. Turn through. Stiak lead with Wallace right on his rear wing. Angus Whiteside in 3rd place, and Soud after a brilliant qualifying. It looked as though he initially got a brilliant start. James Wallace's was simply better. He beat him down the outside into turn 1, and then just running too deep into turn 6 and 7 didn't really help him. And this time, compared to last night, James Wallace is not letting Janusz Stiak escape on the opening lap. Out of the final few corners, up towards turn 17. As they come onto the pit straight for turn 16 to end the first lap. The way with there on the exit for Janusz Stiak. Trying to exit as they come up to the end lap number 1. Stiak leads the way, the championship leader. James Wallace in 2nd place on his tail. Angus Whiteside is 3rd. Soud is 4th. And it's Khaled Al-Ahmadi, his teammate, in 5th position. Caleb Sumich is up 1 spot from 6th. 7th is Solomon Spring. 8th is Banksy, who leads the Masters class. A good aggressive start from Alexandra Vateva getting her elbows out. She made a couple of passes down the outside and is up to 9th place. Then Peter Brecker, Mike Mim, then Stanislav Minsky. Something I think has happened to Krista Andero, because he's dropped down the order and hasn't come across the line yet. Well, he has come across the line, but he's way down the order at the back of the field. Was 20 seconds off the leader when he came past the timing line. So, plenty of action on the first few corners in race number 2. Hopefully everyone watching around the circuit and in the paddock is enjoying it. They make their way now out of this long bank turn of turn 9 and now down the back straight. So, Stiak leading the way, Wallace in 2nd place, Whiteside 3rd. The 2 Saudi cars in 4th and 5th. The top 8 or 9 cars are all together in a line here. There's only a break back to 10th place where Peter Brecker is under pressure from Mike Mim, and that's over 2nd place in Masters class. So they turn their way out to the hairpin. You can see at the back of that queue, Alexandra Vateva, so she's not letting the second half of the top 10 get away. That's good initial progress from Alexandra. She came on pretty strong in the second half of the race, particularly in the latter laps, because she was one of the fastest drivers on the circuit. She looked after her tyres a little more than the cars in front, and that will certainly help. If she can do that again and stick with this group, she's got real potential to start making up some places, maybe in the second half of the race. So it's 30 minutes or 14 laps, whichever elapses first. This could be a battle here. You can see 4th place down to 10th, 6 of them in a line. It's Soud, Ahmadi, Sumich, Spring, Banksy and Vateva. That's the half dozen. Out through turn 16, end of lap number 2. Let's see. Janusz Stiak already lighting up the timing screens purple. Across the line, has already pulled out a gap of nearly a second over James Wallace in P2. Whiteside staying close. He's another 1.4 seconds back on Wallace. And then this Super 6. Al-Saud, Al-Ahmadi, Sumic, Spreng, Banksy, Vateva. Watch for this six-pack. They might be providing the bulk of the entertainment. That's if James Wallace can't keep up with the pace of Janis Stiak. The young German who certainly is proving to be one real talent here. And again, just as it was yesterday, an initial challenge from James Wallace. He did pass him off the road, but he gave the place back in the next few corners, so all is well. You can see here as they turn out of turn 8, and then this long banked corner of turn 9 helps you slingshot your way onto this back straight, where it's the fastest part of the course. It's hitting some 250, 255 kilometers an hour in top gear in 6th, and then punch it down through the gears on that paddle shift gearbox down to 2nd, all the way. Brakes glowing red, as you saw last night. See there, Caleb Sumic in number 14, the plain silver car, just on the tail of Al-Ahmadi for a place in the top 5. Here is this group of cars we've been talking about. And it only takes one slip from somebody in this group and it can change the whole complexion of the race behind the top 3. Wide there from Al-Ahmadi, tighter run through the hairpin of turn 12 for Sumic, and now Soren Spreng, who was yesterday's Pro-Am winner, is also in the mix too. He's in the wonderfully liveried fluoro yellow and two-tone blue car. Is diving up the inside in towards turn 14. Goes Caleb Sumic. Al-Ahmadi looks for the cut back, and there's almost a bit of a concertina effect there. It was almost Al-Ahmadi into the back of Sumic, and Spreng into the back of Al-Ahmadi. But they've all come out of it unscathed. That will also bring both Banksy and Vateva into the mix as well. Here comes Spreng up the inside into turn 16. Has a speculative little look up the inside, puts himself onto Al-Ahmadi's rear wing. Now he's got track position on the inside line, and the pair will go nearly side by side. Hoping for the side draft here is the carreracup Deutschland Pro-Am champion. Behind you can see Alexander Vateva posturing around the rear wing of Banksy for position. And down the inside into turn 1 does go Soren Spreng, and up into position he goes. That is into 6th place. Actually, this is 4th down to 9th, so Alexander Vateva into 9th place now. So she might be able to make up a spot if she's able to find a way around Banksy. And they're closing up here out of 3, 4, 5 and 6. Got to be careful with track limits. In the driver's briefing on Friday, they were talking about they were monitoring several corners on this circuit for track limits. In particular, the apexes of turns 1, 2, the turn 5 and 6 chicane, the exit of turn 9, which is here onto this long back straight, exit of turn 12, of turn 13, and the last corner. So you're allowed to keep at least one wheel on the white line, but go beyond that too much and have nothing on all 4 wheels across the white line on the edge of the circuit. That can either spell lap times deleted, or it can spell a time penalty if you transgress too much. So everyone trying to mind their P's and Q's whilst keeping up the pace. The top 3 sweep through the shot. There goes Al-Saud, followed by Sumic. And that's Banksy a little wide there, exiting turn 12. That might give the chance for Alexandra Vateva. In between races, I think she was working with her driver coach, Robert DeHaan, who was joining me for qualifying. He's the rookie champion for the Porsche Super Cup. The one thing he was trying to get us to do was be a little more aggressive, to line up, go for the move and really get in there. And I think she can be at least pleased with the pace that she's got. She's on the tail of the Masters winner from last year. There she is in silver with the orange and pink flashes. And at the very least, this is really good progress, a chance for her to test her racecraft. Across the line over leaders once more. 4 laps in the books in race 2 of the weekend at Dubai Autodrome. And Vateva just moving around, putting herself into Banksy's mirrors, one way then the other. Any more confidence, she'll start to flash the headlights. So Stiak still leads, now with a 2.3 second advantage already after 4 laps from James Wallace. Whiteside in 3rd, so both the Brits are holding on station in 2nd and 3rd places. And again, a little wayward there for Banksy. This is the battle for position for 8th place, and Banksy having to go really strict on the inside line to defend. This is prime opportunity for Vatava to have a look. And again, Banksy misses the apex through 7. Now looks through the kink of 8 and now to turn 9. And this is really where Vatava's got Banksy on the ropes. He goes wide on the apex of the corner. Through goes Vatava. Lovely smooth pass up the inside. Alexandra Vatava makes up a place and is up into 8th position. Now can she defend it as Banksy comes back at her in the toe down towards turn 10. Gap for 4 backwards go down and Banksy a little wayward on the brakes, but just about gets it anchored up, but just staying on the tail of the young Bulgarian. But the pressure that Vatava was applying was pretty consistent. She forced the mistake, saw the opportunity, threw it up the inside. Thank you very much, Banksy. I'll go chase the cars in front if you don't mind. So here she goes, up into 8th place. That will certainly please driver coach Robert DeHaan and the team down in the garage. Lap time wise at the front, yeah, last lap, for example, for Janusz Stiak, as we look at this, was a 2:02.0. Here are the leaders. He's on the 2:02.0s, 2:02.6 for Wallace, 2:02.9 for Angus Whiteside. And then it was personal best actually for Caleb Sumich, who did a 2:02.8. There is the young Australian. So he's lapping at the same pace as the leaders in the 2:02s. 5 laps in the books here at Dubai Autodrome. There is Vatava. They wind their way through turns 1, this long downhill turn on the first corner. It's a real test for trail braking. You flick left, the double apex of 3 and 4, then 5 and 6, a long right-hander. 7's a more tighter apex, and then it's a kink of 8, and then that long banked corner loops them all the way around onto the back straight towards turn 10. So this is a close battle here between Soren Spreng and Khaled Al-Akmadi. You can see 2 drivers with 2 very different philosophies of corner entry. Tighter exit for Al-Akmadi. We saw that Spreng there was a little wider into his approach on the corner, tried to almost V off the corner, whereas Al-Akmadi went for the more U-shaped approach of the corner. Now Sal, after his heroics in qualifying this morning, not quite on the same pace as the leaders, but still leading in Pro-Am category. Now, interestingly enough, Alexandra Vatava is the next car she's got to try and catch and pass is Martin. Now remember yesterday, Caleb Sumich is breaking out the headlight flashing, classic distraction technique. Certainly applied his craft, probably using some of that in Porsche Sprint Challenge Australia, where he finished 4th in the championship. Was able to put in some good laps, start catching, as Caleb Sumich does not give his tyres any break by locking up and missing the apex of the final corner. And that in turn has lost him a couple of car lengths. I was mentioning that Alexandra is very good at making her tyres last the second half of the race. So she can start to close the gap, see, in the personal best last time by for Soren Spreng, Khaled and Al-Akmadi, which won't necessarily helped Alexandra too much, but keeping them in touch. And it only takes these 2 to fight amongst each other to not only allow Caleb Sumich to make a break and sound, but for the cars behind, immediately being Vatava and Banksy, to pull themselves into contention. Seen there's been a track limits infringement and a warning for a couple of cars, one of which is car 23, Khaled Al-Akmadi, and the other one is James Wallace in 2nd place. So both of them being warned not to stray over the white lines too much. It's at the exit of turn 16. So be careful not to move across that too much. car neat and tidy, nice and steady in this first half of the race. Coming up to half distance in terms of laps. Because we're on lap 7, 6 laps completed in the books. Watching Caleb Sumich debut in the championship this weekend, not in debut in Porsches, but in the Middle East Championship, certainly it's his first appearance. We had Jackson Walls, who joined us last year, who was from Australia. So another driver from down under, giving the Middle East Championship a try. So the group of cars here, there's Angus Whiteside going through the bottom shot in third place in a bit of no man's land, really, in a race of his own. Really catching the cars in front for first and second, but not being caught by Sourdough Sound or Sumich either. Looking ahead of the field whilst we see these guys, James Wallace is matching Janusz Stiak for pace, but the gap is still 2.7 seconds out in front, so Wallace is currently running at Stiak's pace, but he can't get any closer. And that must be really frustrating. There are the leaders. The really yellow flash you saw there was Janusz Stiak. The black car was James Wallace, black and purple was Angus Whiteside. And the Saudi cars are quite easy to spot. They are in green and white. The all-silver car there, without a particular sponsor livery, is Caleb Sumich's car. There it is, in car 14. Looks like the default livery for that car in silver. Argue that the best looking car on the grid, personally, not to have too many favourites, but probably this car right here, the Sovereign Spring Machine, number 5. Really nice two-tone blue and yellow. Those are my kind of colours. Sovereign, of course, winning it last night. He wants to try and make it 2 from 2. He's currently on course for a second place. And that was James Wallace, I think, going a little deep into the hairpin at turn 10. So maybe he's lost a couple more car lengths to Stiak in front. Last time by, looking at lap times, keeping on that battle for third place in second and third in Pro-Am. Fastest of the trio battling over those podium places, Alexandra Vateva. 204.3 for Alexandra compared to a 203.4 for Sovereign Spring, 203.7 for Khaled Al-Akmadi. So maybe this is the opportunity that Alexandra needs. We're coming on the second half of the race now. And again, he's looked after her tyres, kept the cars in front, pretty close. There's an opportunity here or two. Should give a shout out to the Masters category. Still Banksy who leads the way from Japan. Leads the way by 5 seconds from Peter in second place, the Czech driver. Mike Mim in third place, Krista Andero fourth, Stanislav Minsky in fifth position for Kyrgyzstan. Sumich is closing in a little more on Sourdough Sound. It's for track position rather than class position, because Caleb Sumich is a pro driver. Pro-Am class for Sourdough Sound. So this won't change anything in terms of any more points that Caleb will score. But certainly another place higher in the overall running won't hurt. The two of them are just keeping Angus Whiteside in their sights. He's not too far away, which is quite interesting. Too much now, just arriving onto the rear wing of our Sound as they come through 8 and 9. And our Sound actually runs very wide and almost just opens the door and lets Caleb through. That's either him just recognising I'm not in the same class, this is not my fight. Either that, he wants to have a bit of a play on track here. He's now, that was either a mistake or he decided to have a bit of a race here with the young Australian. And they go side by side down the back straight towards turn 10. Sumic has the inside line. And the move is complete, so no retaliation as much for Saud Saud, and I imagine that he was just making a bit of a race of it. There goes Spreng, Alec Mardi. And the gap between Alec Mardi and Vateva is 2.4 seconds at this point. And Vateva was about a tenth quicker that last lap. She needs the cars in front to have their tyres fall off a little more in order to stand a better chance of possibly getting herself a podium. A couple more cars being warned of track limits, one of which is Alec Mardi. And if he's not careful, he's on his third offence, so if he continues to transgress, he might even find himself with a time penalty, but that's down for the stewards to decide rather than me to speculate. And the other car that's also being warned for a second offence is Mike Mim as well. So he's had another one exiting turn 9 as well. So again, a couple of drivers just on the bubble in terms of being allowed what they can get away with. On to lap 10 of 14. It's 14 laps or 30 minutes, whichever comes first. There is Saud, still the Pro-Am leader. Soren Spreng behind him. What's the gap between first and second in that class? It is 2 seconds. And Soren Spreng was nearly a full second quicker. So actually this might not be done for Pro-Am. And Saud there was wiggling around on exit. He's not happy with traction. So I wonder if, again, Saud has possibly taken too much out of his tyres. He's losing time to Caleb Sumic in front. And now there's a chance that Soren Spreng could be looking, if he plays his cards right, at 2 wins from 2 races here at the Autodrome. The back straight. And just in shot for a moment there was all of our 4 Pro-Am drivers. We'll also say as well, Alexandra Vateva was 8 tenths quicker than Khaled Alec Mardi in front. She's got the gap down to 1.5 seconds. So this Pro-Am battle, while it might be pretty much settled by 3.5 seconds at the moment between Stiak and Wallace out in front, I think we could be shaping up on these last few laps for potentially quite an interesting little battle in Pro-Am here between the 4 cars, because Soren Spreng is catching Saud Saud, Vateva is catching Ahmadi, so I wonder if the 2 Saudi cars are just taking a little bit too much out of their tyres here. And they're starting to fall back a little bit. So there goes Sumic, there goes Saud, there is, just to the right-hand side of the shot there, Soren Spreng, last year's Pro-Am champion in Porsche Carrera Cup Germany. They make their way onto the pit straight now. 4 laps to go in this race. So you've got roughly around about, what, 8 and a bit minutes for one of these 4 in the shop, excluding Sumic at the front, to make a move and change something. So gaps between, respectively, it's a gap of 1.6 between Saud and Spreng. And Spreng was half a second quicker. Spreng was a tenth slower than Alec Mardi, and that Alec Mardi was then 2 tenths quicker than Vateva. So it's relatively status quo. Out through turn 7, out through turns 8 and 9. Sumic actually is